Okay, hey, listen, go ahead on and tag and share. Let's get everybody in today. We are, well, I want to say good afternoon and once again, welcome to, that's right, it's really the Conscious Chick Show. I'm just here with her today. And certainly it is definitely the community show. Greg James is here along with the Conscious Chick. How are you today?
It's Wednesday. It's been Wednesday all day. And I understand the reason why they call it hump day because it's been a hill to climb for me. I don't know about nobody else, but I'm grateful.
Well, listen, it's been a hill to climb for me. Listen, it took everything in me to get here on this wonderful Wednesday to do what we always do. That's inspire, encourage, inform. And sometimes, you have to figure out a way to do all of that for yourself before you can do it for somebody else. But anyway, I'm glad to be here.
Well,
and certainly we're delighted to have all of our listeners tuned in. Those of you who are on the
hey, y'all.
Facebook, internet, go ahead on and tag and share. And let's get everybody tuned in. I want to say good afternoon to Jimmy Saylor. He is watching, and certainly we are glad to have him. Okay, listen, I think we got Dr. Robinson in.
Okay, awesome.
Can you hear me?
We can.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm in mixed company, and I told them don't talk because I didn't know whether they were going to be on the radio or not. And I'm sorry for the confusion. I thought we were doing this tomorrow while the event was happening live.
Well, we can definitely do that as well. I think we have it on our agenda to get by there and do some capture there. But we are so glad you can join us for a couple of minutes. Now, listen, if you're hearing this, this is the Dr. Temple Robinson, the CEO of the Bond Community Health Center, not clinic, center. Okay?
Very good. I've trained you well.
You have trained me well. And I remember when it was the clinic. I used to work in Southside over in the Smith Williams Service Center when it was the clinic. So I have to literally train myself to say clinic. I mean, not clinic, but center, because I remember when it was the clinic. But you have expanded over the year. The facility has expanded its service. It's regionalized. It's data informed. It's doing all of the magnificent things that a community health convener should do. And we are so proud of the work that you're doing there, Dr. Robinson.
Well, thank you. I have a great team, and we work very hard here. We want to be of service to the community. We want the community healthy, educated. We want to prevent emergency room visits and hospitalizations. And we definitely want to make sure that our men are healthy. We always talk about women's health and taking care of kids and paternal health. But we've got to really, really help our men. They carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. We depend on them, and we want them around for a long time.
I am so, and let me tell you how happy I am that we have started to shift the narrative. I know there's a lot of community champions out there that are doing tremendous things to gather men around mental health. Shout out to John Brown with Black Men's Health and Keyshawn Frazier with the Tallahassee Fitness Movement here. O'Neill Brown and a number of folks that are beginning to gather Black men together. And I'm being very intentional when I say Black men, because Dr. Robinson, you can inform this better than anybody. There are some severe health crises that are going on with our Black men in our community and nationwide. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Well, we know we use a fancy word called the allostatic load. But what this means is just living life and the constant pressure and stress that are on, and we're talking about Black men now, but that are on Black men, the responsibilities they have, the having to be on guard all the time, watching over your shoulder at all time. What this does to inflammation in the body, what this does to high blood pressure and heart disease, and then dealing with unmet trauma that's has never been diagnosed, has never been dealt with, and how do you carry the burden of childhood trauma even, and then the bad decisions that sometimes come along with it. So you have a mixture of physical health, mental health, spiritual crisis, Then in the addition of the legal system and the justice system, and then overall dealing with institutionalized racism and prejudice. And so with those and trying to get a job, keep a job, be a strong father, be a good grandfather, the pressures of all of that cause men at this point to have so many competing priorities that primary and preventive health care become something way down on the list of things to take care of. So that's why something like having the prostate cancer screening, and we thank Senator Simon so much for being a champion of this. That's why it's so important. Get in there, get that screening done so you can get a baseline and see where you are. Prostate cancer is killing young Black men at just an untenable rate. So I'm just excited that we're able to offer this, partnering with Sunshine Health, with Senator Simon being the champion of this. We want people to go to this tomorrow afternoon. It's right in the heart of the South Side, right where in the shopping center across the street from the Piggly Wiggly. That's the best way to explain it. In the shopping center where the Wendy's is. No, we're not doing digital exam. Nobody's putting a finger in a place you don't want the finger to go. This is a simple blood test. We're not doing prostate exams out in the street. But this is a blood test, and it will give you some baseline information that you can then take back to your medical provider, or you can come to Bond and we can take it from there and come up with a treatment plan if need be.
This is tremendous. And I want to reiterate the instructions for tomorrow's events. First of all, it's free to the public. It's free to the entire public. So you don't have to just live in Southside to benefit from the event. You can come from all over the region. It'll take place at the Sunshine Health Community Connection Center that's located at the Southwood, it's like Southside Plaza, over off of Monroe Street, 2525 South Monroe Street, Unit 1. That's where Sunshine Health is the corner building there. And it'll kick off at 3 o'clock and it will end at 7 p.m. They're asking men at average risk that should begin screening at age 50. So, but can younger men come to the event?
Absolutely. And especially if you've got relatives that you know have prostate cancer, or are you having any symptoms or any concerns, we're not going to turn you away because you're 40 years old. And we know that Black men, especially, start showing, I shouldn't say start showing, have been found to have more aggressive prostate cancer if it is identified when they're younger. There's a connection between the age and the type of prostate cancer and the level of aggressiveness. So please come, take advantage of this. I'm happy that you invited me just to say a few words.
Yes.
And I'm going to run now and try to take care of some sick people and keep well people well.
I know that's right. Well, we are so blessed to have Bond so engaged and so proactive within the community. Thank you for your continued service, and we'll make sure that we restate through the broadcast how folks can engage with the event on tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. at the Sunshine Health Community Wellness Center.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too now. So if you've just tuned in, you were listening to Dr. Temple Robinson, who we are so grateful took about 15 minutes out of her day to come and to speak with us about a tremendous event that she, with the leadership of Corey Simon and partnership with Sunshine Wellness and a number of other different community partners, will be hosting tomorrow at the Sunshine Health facility in Southside. It will take place between 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. It will focus on prostate cancer for sure. They're saying that men, it's mandatory, Pastor, that men 50 years of age begin to get screened. Men of color at 40 years of age, and they won't be turning no men away.
Wow. It's so important. And when you talk about men's health, you got to know that one of the things that we know as a factor is that men are not visiting their primary care
Mm.
doctors, as they should, and
Right.
they have not been taking a major interest in knowing about what are some of the needs. So I applaud Senator Simon along with Dr. Temple Robinson for what they're doing.
Yes.
I think the call to action is that we get men out and get them engaged, because we're at a very critical time, especially when it comes to our health. So
Mhm. I think you're a Black man.
yes.
Why y'all don't want to go to the doctor?
I mean, I think there's a I don't know what it is that is over us, but there is that, and that keeps us from making our visits regularly. But however, I think what we have to do in this day and in this hour is that we have to hold each other accountable to encourage, hey, checking on your health. I mean, you know, and there's nothing to be afraid of. So that event is happening on tomorrow. What time is that now?
It is from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we are just so happy. We got Senator Simon that'll be calling in here shortly. Ran into some nuance at the Capitol, so we're gonna wait on him to call in. But definitely, we want to make sure, first of all, that I know they're gonna have gateways there for men if they don't have insurance to get insurance. I think that's a key factor. We just went through the new AC, ACA just passed by, but I think they've extended some things for certain types of populations where people can still get access to the ACA insurance coverage or subsidy. And somebody needs to just quote me if I'm wrong. If you're listening out there to public and you know about the health insurance timetable, please feel free to call in and inform us more clearly on that situation. But you have insurance, right?
Yes.
Okay. There is a high number of uninsured men, uninsured, not underinsured, uninsured Black men out there. And Senator Simon is on the line now. We're gonna welcome him, but we want to have a conversation about that, because I think that's a key issue, right? A key issue is having the ability, having the capability to be able to afford medical insurance, to be able to have those check-ins and checks, because it can get expensive.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's welcome the senator to the line, and hopefully all of our virtual audience will get a chance to hear what Senator Simon says concerning this issue.
Yay, Senator Simon. Hey, Corey. Good. You having fun up there on the Capitol Hill? Mm-hmm. Talk about, I know last year you were really deep in education. Talk about this year, what your role is going to be in terms of leadership in the House this year. Okay. So with that in mind, and I know that there's a lot of conversation, you're a huge champion of community partnership schools here in our state. And we're talking about health, particularly health as it relates to specific demographics, Black men in particular, which is our conversation today. What is kind of the ecosystem of access that we're looking at? Of course, the community-based partnerships with federally qualified health institutions are key and critical. But how are we integrating all approaches to reach fathers, to reach grandfathers, to reach uncles, to reach sons, to be able to start this conversation about access to quality resources to aid in the health of Black men? The statistics are morbid at best. Talk a little bit about that. I know you have a personal bent to this as well. Mm-hmm. Lord have mercy. Right.
From 3 to 7 over at Sunshine Health Community Connection Center at 2525 South Monroe Street. Of getting folks to come out, get tested. You know, every time we talk about prostate cancer, I know how I used to react to it when I was younger. It was like, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have a blood test, where folks, all you have to do is come out and give a little bit of blood, and they can get the results back to you relatively quickly. So it's not as inconvenient as we used to think. It is absolutely paramount to make sure that this is happening, because if you can catch it early, there's a 99% chance that it's survivable. But you've got to catch it early.
Listen, 99% survival rate, Pastor, if they catch it early. We have a viewer online, a listener right now, and oh, awesome. I'm glad you can hear it now. Mr. Sanjeev. Okay, here we go. Mr. Sanjeev, I hope I'm not messing your name up. My question to Pastor earlier, and you can speak to this as well, Senator Simon. Why don't Black men go to the doctor? You know, and I know he said that it's a superhero syndrome.
Right.
Talk a little bit about, because this is, if you're saying that it can get caught and there's a 99% rate of recovery if it's detected in time.
Listen, Christique, I think it comes down to one, cost.
Okay.
I think the cost has just been high for folks that don't have insurance. It can be costly, right? And so going and getting checked on something that doesn't hurt doesn't make sense. I mean, that's how I grew up. I didn't go to the doctor unless something hurt. And so that's kind of how it was always. It's kind of like going to the dentist. Making sure you're going and getting checkups in the dentist. All the diseases that can come from bad dental care are critical. And so, but if it didn't hurt, you didn't go, because there's a cost associated with that. And so I think that's the thing. You have the historical things that have happened in the Black community.
Yeah.
And so there's that historical weight of it all. But I think more importantly, I think now it just comes down to, in many places, it comes down to cost, and then access is another one. That's one of the things that I'm really working on this upcoming year is rural access to healthcare. In many of the districts, many of the parts of my district that I represent 13 counties, 12 of which are fiscally constrained. And in those fiscally constrained counties, they're largely rural, and they don't have access to a doctor. Many of them have to come over to Tallahassee or travel over to Columbia County or go down to Shands, and so the access becomes a problem. So you have all of these different factors that have played in, but at the end of the day, in order for us to be around for our families, we have to make sure that we're healthy.
So I think that you are, and it does dwindle down to one thing, and that is value.
Yeah.
How do we value the lives of our men, Black men? How are their lives valued? And if you just tuned in, we're talking with Senator Corey Simon, who is a champion of an event, a catalytic event that is happening tomorrow in Southside, but you don't have to live in Southside to come and participate. It's going on at the Sunshine Health Wellness Community Wellness Center from 3 o'clock until 7. And there, men of all ages, definitely we want men that are 50 and 40 and 30 to come on out and take a simple blood test to get a health profile to determine your risk, whether you have or may have any types of cancers, particularly prostate cancer. And it's really important. I looked up online doing my homework, Senator Simon, and it's saying that Black men have the highest prostate cancer mortality rates.
Yes.
And they have the highest rate of colorectal cancer. These are all cancers that have to be screened in order to determine whether or not they're active. And if they're caught in time, there are remedies and ways to be able to get into a remission or get into a healing space. Can you, and Dr. Temple Robinson talked a little bit about this earlier. Can you talk about the ecosystem of health access as it currently stands? Where do people go to get health help in our area, in your region that you represent?
Well, listen, there are a lot of great sponsors that are going to be putting on this event. One of those being Bond Community Health Center, here in town. Neighborhood Health is Neighborhood Medical is another clinic that folks can go to. There are not nearly enough spaces. To be able to rattle off just a few is tough. Which means that we've got more work to do. That's why I'm focused so much on healthcare and my Rural Renaissance bill, because that access is a problem. We don't have nearly enough physicians that are practicing in this space. Last year we did a bill called Live Healthy, where we're trying to incentivize giving back tax breaks for student loans for students to go and practice medicine, because there's such a great need in these communities. And so there's a lot that's lacking right now that we need to continue to push for, encouraging our kids engage in the STEM fields. You don't have to go and go to school just to be a doctor. There are tons of STEM fields that don't need a 4-year degree, that you can go to your to a Lively or Tallahassee State College, and phlebotomy and all of these different health fields that we need to have these discussions. I think we have gotten caught in the conversation where in order for you to be successful, you have to go and get a 4-year degree. And that's not the society that we live in any longer.
Right.
A large part of our workforce is going, when I have conversations with the chamber folks and the folks over at the Chamber of Commerce, they're saying, they're challenging employers, and the STEM area is one of them, to really determine if a 4-year degree is what you need to really be successful. And so as these conversations are having, the investments that we're making, I co-sponsored a bill, Senate Bill 260 a couple of years ago, my first session, that devoted $100 million towards every year for the expansion of CTE programs at our high schools and our middle schools. And so those dollars are going out. And that's a larger education conversation that we're doing in the state of Florida. And every year since we passed the bill, that money has been going out the door. And a large part of it is going to STEM education. So there's things that are in place that we're working through. But what it comes back to is taking care of yourself, making sure that you're going out and getting the checkups. Tomorrow won't just be about prostate cancer. We're going to have the folks from the Sickle Cell Foundation will be there providing sickle cell testing. We'll have the folks from that'll be there doing diabetes education, which is another disease that is plaguing the Black community. And so there'll also be rapid HIV testing there. It's going to be a lot. There's going to be food, there's going to be games, there's going to be music, but there's going to be some education and some opportunities to get checked out.
Wow. Well, I certainly want to say, Senator Simon, certainly we want to thank you for you being a champion when it comes to sounding the alarm for men to to become conscious of their health. And as you earlier stated, you know, you've experienced 5 of your friends passing, and it kind of shook you to say, hey, and I think if we can adhere to the message that is happening around us, then we will move in a better direction. And so on tomorrow, those of you who are listening, pastors, men ministries, fraternities, motorcycle clubs, men organizations, it's a challenge for you to come out, 30, 40, 50, whatever the age is, get out. There's going to be opportunities for you to become educated and aware of what's going on with your health on tomorrow. And everything is free.
Everything is free.
Everything is free. It is free. And Greg, you touched on it when you started talking about the ages. I just want to go over something, a statistic from the American Cancer Society. Men with average rates, that are not in the Black community, they're asking that you get tested for prostate cancer by the age of 50. That's when they're asking you to get started testing.
Wow.
The Black community, Black men, they're asking you to get tested age 40. 40 years old. And so you see the issue, you see where we are. We've got to get off the couch. We've got to start working out. We've got to take better care of ourselves. And then we've got to get in and make sure we're getting tested.
Listen, it's a sobering conversation, really, because when you talk about cancer, you know, having the highest rate of prostate cancer, having the higher rates of colorectal cancer, we also have a statistic that says that 40% of Black men over 20 have hypertension. That's crazy. Over the age of 20 years old, Black men have the highest rates of diabetes, and Black men are less likely to see mental health treatment. And suicide among Black men has increased over the last 5 years.
Wow.
And so I think it's important, and politics aside, right? Because we have the polarizing existence of our political environment. But I think that this is a meaningful opportunity to really create a movement around something that truly matters. It is a way to make the statement of value to Black men specifically, and saying, look, your health is your wealth, and your health matters to us. Now, this is how we're going to activate, not empower. We prostitute that word too much. We're going to activate Black men, Black organizations, Black folk, Black, to reach out to others to understand this truth. And I pray and hope that this becomes a movement all over this district and it catches fire, because I don't think that this is being emphasized in the way it needs to be emphasized. Am I being too passionate about this? Because I'm reading the information. It's crazy.
Christy, you were spot on. And this is just the first of many of these events that I'll be planning throughout my district. It's partnership with a lot of other healthcare organizations that are putting together mobile units to go across the district and make sure that these tests are being conducted in these communities. That is something that I am putting a stamp on and saying this is going to be a priority over my term here in the Senate.
Absolutely.
What role are faith-based organizations going to play in this game plan? Because I think that those are places where you can truly activate and mobilize. What role are churches? I'm not even going to play faith. What role are churches going to play in this? Because this is something that needs to be preached, right?
Listen, I think churches play a major role in this, because that's what people go to find that people that they trust.
Right.
It's hard for them to hear from a politician or even a doctor telling them the importance of doing these things. But when you go to your parishioner and you have that discussion with them and they're saying, no, you really need to put an emphasis on health. All of this other stuff aside, in order for you to be the man that God's called you to be the family man, to be the father, to be the grandfather, to be the uncle, to lead, to mentor, you got to be alive and you got to be healthy.
Come on now.
So that needs to be the emphasis that's being placed in the conversations that are happening in our church. And I appreciate you and Greg really making this a priority today and allowing me to come on and share this. But we really need more and more folks to be talking about it as the days and weeks move forward.
Absolutely. And Dr. Robinson alluded earlier, Senator, that she talked about some of the social determinants that kind of undergird the stresses that create the chronic conditions that Black men experience in their health. Systemic racism, just the stress of dealing with the narrative on all of that and how that creates health disparities, socioeconomic status, and access to health care, right? Do we have enough facilities to reach the people in our region? Do we have enough capacity, or do we have enough resource in our area to be able to reach those who need to be reached with the needs that we are talking about today?
Short answer is no.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Thank you.
No, we don't.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I think that when we talk about faith leaders in churches, I think that we can play a major role in becoming a resource of educational information. And I think when people are informed, they become inspired. And this situation concerning men health, this situation concerning the number of diseases that are impacting the Black male, I think we have to become more vocal from the place where people gather. In our communities, the church is the place where we gather.
Yes.
And if this message, as the senator said, is going to come across and have impact, it's going to come with voices that they trust. So I'm applauding the senator for his efforts, along with all of the partners. And as he said, this is just the beginning, the first of many.
Yes.
So after Thursday, there's an opportunity for faith leaders to line up to say, how do we march forward in getting this message out? How do we march forward in educating our men? Maybe there becomes a challenge whereby churches are challenged to bring men in.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a way that we engage them. So certainly we want to thank the senator for his time. I know there's a lot of work going on over there at the Capitol, but Thursday is happening.
Thursday from 3 to 7, right?
Correct.
Thursday from 3 to 7. And if you did not hear earlier, you don't have to be 40 or 50 to come. You can be any age, and you don't have to be a Black man to come. You can come through, but we truly want to reach Black men in our community, Black health leaders in our community, and have a conversation with Senator Simon, because this is definitely a heartfelt initiative for him. He is and has communicated to me and others in the community that he's looking for partners to be able to tote this water, because it is that critical. So talking about the faith-based community, talking about community organizations that serve men and entities that serve specifically Black men in our community, this is your call to action. Absolutely. This is your opportunity to put your actions where your mouth is. And we definitely shout out all those entities, organizations that have corralled around Black men's mental health. There needs to be some alignment here so that it can translate into resource to be able to make an effective impact on these statistics. Again, if you didn't hear earlier, Black men have the highest prostate cancer mortality rates. In fact, Dr. Robinson said earlier that 1 in 8 Black men are going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. 1 in 8. We also have the highest rates of colorectal cancer. 40% of Black men over 20, not over 30, not over 40, over 20 have hypertension. That's high blood pressure, okay? Black men have the highest rates of diabetes, and Black men are less likely to seek mental or any health treatment. And suicide rates are on the rise. Listen, we are in a state of emergency as it relates to our brothers in the community. If you are a leader on any level, make your way there 3 to 7 p.m. tomorrow at the Sunshine Wellness facility over off of South Monroe, 2525 South Monroe. It's right there on the corner. They'll be there from 3 to 7 with refreshments, with games, with music, but also with care providers, with testing opportunity, and with overall informational engagement. Senator Simon, do you have anything that you'd like to kind of leave us with?
No, I think you did a great job, Christine. Thank you guys so much. You and Greg both continue to push the message. Your voices are important in our communities. And so thank you. Thank you. I look forward to seeing everybody there tomorrow.
All right. Well, bless you. All right. Well, listen, that was Senator Corey Simon, and it's happening tomorrow.
It's happening tomorrow.
And certainly we want to say thank you to him and Dr. Robinson
Yes.
and all of the sponsors for making the call and then facilitating the opportunity for men to come and find out information and get tested for
Yes.
some of the things that are impacting us on a very, very high level. So, hey, men's health is happening and we got to get men engaged.
We gotta get men engaged.
Well, I mean, what we're going to spend the next, I mean, you're the conscious chick.
Well, look, this is a huge issue. I mean, it factors into any economic conversation that I can have, right? Because we know that the wealth determination of our families is largely, based upon fathers being active, fathers being economically viable, fathers being economically engaged in providing for their families. And I think that we have got to just shout out to all of the sisters that's out there doing it on their own and making strides. But the statistics continue to push forward the notion that men in the home that are economically viable, that are doing the things that men do, set a better trajectory for the family. It sets a better wealth position for the family. And, we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that statistic. And I'm not saying there's not any exceptions, but I don't think we need to make rules of exceptions. But if our men are stressed out, if they're not viable, if they're dealing with behavioral health or substance abuse issues, if they're dealing with things that require a health conversation, right? And a health, it needs to be had.
And we can't be afraid of having the conversations, nor can we be afraid of making our visits to the physician to find out what's going on. So, hey, it's tomorrow, man, from 3 to 7. I mean, just like you said, it's a sobering conversation, especially when you hear the numbers, because there's so many things that are taking us out silently. And, we can see the black on black crime, but when you talk about numbers like this, and when it comes to diabetes, when it comes to prostrate, you can see that if we don't take a more active role in educating and making ourselves visit the physician, then, we're going to be losing our men at an alarming rate.
So, Pastor, let me ask you, how do you, I hope this comes out right. How do you bring folks from diverse places and spaces together for this particular conversation? Because everyone has their angle that they want to magnify, right? You might have some people that say, oh, racism. You might have some people that say, oh, ain't enough healthcare. Oh, you have some people that say, oh, they ain't making enough money. They're all important. How do you unify men around this type of agenda?
Well, I think the key to it is that, one, the numbers indicate why there needs to be an urgency.
Right.
The numbers, when you look at the statistics, when you talk about 1 out of 8 men at the age of 40 will end up diagnosed, the numbers indicate there's an urgency that we meet. There's an urgency that we evangelize health. There's an urgency that we put out tracts. There's an urgency that we call this to the attention of men. The numbers signify. I mean, when you talk about at the 3rd grade, the Department of Justice knows how many prisons to build based on numbers. Then when we look at the health numbers, we got to become aware that if we don't do something to decrease the numbers, then we're going to lose a generation. So I think we rally people around making them aware of the data. The data does not lie. And I think that's it. And so if you can't see the numbers, if you can't understand that the numbers are real, and if the numbers don't drive us to say, how can we create the movement to bring about a health awareness that needs to happen among Black men, then I don't know what's going to do it. I mean, we can talk about not enough facilities, but the facilities that are there, the question is, are Black men going to those facilities? So we can justify whatever our positions are, but we can't change the numbers that hit us right where we see them. So,
But did you hear him when he said that prevention can occur in over 90% of cases? Lives can be saved.
if
Mhm.
we took the preventive steps.
If I'm not
And
laughing,
here's the thing about it, and it's not just with healthcare.
right.
We could prevent the number of kids dropping out of school. We can prevent the number of kids going to jail. We can prevent the number of deaths that occur in our community if they take the right steps. So it's all up to the individual, and then it's all up to those who are watchmen
Mhm.
to make the clarion call.
Mhm.
The Bible said people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Mhm.
So we have to inform. And as I always believe, that informed people are inspired people. I mean, listening to these numbers today, I've been inspired
Mm.
to say, hey, listen, when the last time, you got your prostrate check.
Mhm.
So I mean, we've got to be more engaging if we're going to be empowering. And there's no way that if we don't engage, then people gonna remain empty, and we still gonna see ourselves facing the same thing that we're facing. So
Mhm. Well, I love
I think
how
it was a
you-
great conversation.
Yeah, I love how you brought the issue together with crime and with health, and perhaps that's because they're two slow killers. You know what I'm saying?
They're killing us softly.
Yeah, killing you softly.
Yeah.
Well, just if you're listening, we're amazed by this information. I told my husband, I was like, yeah, okay, now, because he usually does pretty well with going to the doctor and doing health related things. But, for men who don't have the time or who are just trying to keep things afloat or trying to figure out their way, listen, if you're listening to this broadcast or if you love somebody who is just trying to figure it out, call them.
Mhm.
Tell them to go by tomorrow. I think it begins with us as a community valuing the lives of our men to the extent where we charge them with the responsibility for their health and making sure that we talk to them and say, hey, not only have you gotten screened, but if you haven't, you can go here to do this.
Absolutely.
If you're feeling this kind of way, if you have these symptoms, you need to go and talk to so-and-so and such and such. I think we have to take that charge because the information is compelling.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And certainly we thank, once again, we thank you for being able to organize such a powerful show to give insight on what's happening on tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And I guess we'll take the last 15 minutes of our show. I mean, normally we take the beginning of it to talk about what's going on. I mean, we're excited about how we have more partners now.
Mhm.
Every second Wednesday, Life in the Now is with Nikki
Collins.
Collins.
Nikki Collins.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
thinking about Judge Nikki Collins. She's
Yeah,
on my mind.
yeah.
The beautiful Nikki Collins.
Yeah, so
Yes.
every second Wednesday is Nikki Collins, Life in the Now. So we're delighted for all of the additions
Mhm.
that are now part of the Great James Community Show. And then the third Wednesday, it's Felicia Stanley
Mhm.
with Raw, Real, and Worthy Conversations.
Mhm.
And then, between you and I, it's going to be the first Wednesday or the fourth Wednesday.
Mhm.
You're going to have your own show, The Conscious Chick, and then we'll double up.
Yeah.
Because I think when we're together, it creates a whole lot of unraveling of things.
Yeah.
We're together now.
We're together now. We're together right now. And I mean, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Happy New Year.
And so much has happened. I mean,
So much has happened.
you think that we had just finished an election season, and it looked like election
Sir.
season
Sir.
is like it's brewing.
Listen, it's popping off. And the Saints need to be praying because we're in a time where leadership is prime value. We really are. We need visionaries in leadership. We need people that understand what leadership is, not just politics, right? And I think people assume that politics is leadership. No. Politics is the assumption, right, of the position of leadership, the process by which people assume it. But leadership is what happens when the politics yield the leaders in place. And if we've never understood the necessity of leadership, we should see the necessity of good leadership.
Well, I think that for us, I mean, basically, I think faith leaders who tell the story from Genesis to Revelation should know how valuable leadership is.
Yes.
And when we look at it, we should not be able to look at it from a standpoint of who I like, who's a part of the club, the crowd, but are they able to lead the people in which they are vying to serve for? And I mean, we select on different scales, and I think that none of us who are serving are living now under the leadership of the president who's in office should be surprised or alarmed about what's happening, because he said when he got elected what he was going to do. So I try to avoid conversations with people, because at the end of the day, if you didn't vote, if you felt like voting wasn't necessary, then now why have a major conversation? And here it is, we just got out of a local election and we're gearing up, seem like, for another major election when it comes to the mayor's race. And it's a year away.
But a year ain't no time.
It ain't no time, but people are talking.
Oh, they better.
And the thing about it is, we as a community will find ourselves divided again. We'll find ourselves warring with each other again. We'll find ourselves mistreating and belittling people who look like us again. And we'll end up mad again and not voting again.
And I think that there's people that are counting on that. You know, the environment has been queued up to create disaffection and dissent and apathy, quite frankly, because folks are dealing with a lot. They can't buy eggs. Eggs expensive. People like eat eggs. They can't make a cake. You know,
they gotta fast. They gotta fast.
Yeah. The economy is doing what it does. But I think that, you know, a professor of mine always told me when I was coming up in school and I had to do a lot of studying on politics and political systems and different bureaucratic moves and motives, he would always say, you can tell how a person is going to lead by the way they campaign. And we're seeing that in Living Color, not just in our president, but I've seen that here in Living Color in our local community. And I will say this, and I'm gonna drop the mic. If you can't bring people together to affect the end outcome, then you don't need to be in a leadership position, because it takes everybody.
Okay, define bringing people together.
You look, the person you don't like, they have the key to what you're trying to get done. And what it really takes is us getting outside of this tribalism that we found our safety in, to see that we've got to affect outcome for an entire community. So we can't X out the entire community and still think that we're going to reach impact and outcome. The only outcome we're going to reach is placating and satisfying the people that's already on our team, but we're not going to make impact to the broader community. And that, to me, that I look at the leadership of Walt McNeil. Walt McNeil has to deal with a lot of people that he probably don't personally and politically agree with, but he is able to affect impact because he understands it doesn't matter. He don't matter. He doesn't matter. What matters is the end game of figuring out how to have a respectful, and I'm not saying that it's perfect, but how to have a respectful process for offenders in our community, how to uphold the law, and how to maintain the charter of the state as it relates to the sheriff's department. That's his job. If you're in elected office, that's your job. Your job is to uphold the ordinances and the laws of the municipality or of the county that you're in. And if all you got is sugar honey iced tea to bring to your seat, then you need to rethink. I'm going through a leadership development training program. I am. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes a humility to say, maybe my leadership needs to be retooled. Maybe I need to see what somebody ain't seeing. Maybe I need to understand why I'm not getting accomplished what I say I want to get accomplished. Because I have always been taught if you're in leadership and you have the seat of authority and you're not getting done things you want to get done, the problem ain't the things you want to get done. The problem may be you.
Well, I mean, I applaud you for your steps in wanting to know more about leadership, taking a humble role to enroll. But here's the thing that is simple. At the end of the day, either things are right or wrong. Either you're going to stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. At the end of the day, either you're going to fight for what the people need, or you're going to figure out a way to advance your own agenda.
This is true.
So when you take on the responsibility to serve people, whether you're Democrat or whether you're Republican or whether you're independent, you got to work with people to make sure you push the needle so that the people you're serving will know that your leadership says, I care. You cannot isolate yourself and say, oh, I'm not going to work with this person because he's an independent or he's a Republican. No, you can't do that. You got to figure out what's best for your constituents. And we're in a season and we're in an hour where you cannot walk around blind saying it's just me and my three. No, it's not going to happen. And the people are going to be impacted every time you take on that mindset.
Or you and your two.
And you and your two.
Okay, so it's got to be us and our five. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the community is looking for uniters. Nobody have time for this. You can't move things forward. You got a whole. Do people understand the rate of market rate homelessness in this community? People don't understand that there are folks right now living in their cars.
Absolutely.
Because they can't afford to have a place to stay. I got a call from someone, a local minister, looking for somewhere for someone to stay with their child who can't find somewhere to stay with their child, and all they can afford is maybe $600 to $700 a month. And I don't have time for your rhetoric. I need you to be working with people you don't like to figure out
but
how
it's hard.
That work. I don't care. You should have never gotten the position if you can't work with people you don't like.
But you should want to be able to work with whoever is going to help you.
Because that's what grown folks do.
That's what they do.
And so to me, I don't care. I don't care about your agenda. I don't care about how you feel. I don't care about your past wounds. I care about the fact that there is public referendum that could be utilized in order to address certain issues that we are facing. This market rate homelessness situation is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. We don't have the housing that's being created will not fit the demographics. Demographics that we have, literally, the majority of people can only afford $1,200 to $1,400 a month for rent. And that's them needing a 3-2 or 4-2 house. You can't get a 3-2 for under $1,500 a month in this city. And so like he said earlier, the data is what has to drive our agenda, drive our politics. I don't have time for I don't like you. I don't have time for I don't agree with you.
Well, I mean, I think we're at a place where we have become comfortable with people who are in leadership, and we have become comfortable with them feeling a certain way about who they like and who they don't like, and the people are suffering.
Tribalism, yeah.
And your popularity does no good for people who are poor and who are needing you to be a voice for them. And I think we're at a time when we look at our nation as a whole, and when we look at what is happening from top down, we're at a time to say, Christy, I love you, but I don't think you would serve best for the community. Let's figure out who's the best person. And I'm just using you for an example because I know you would serve well wherever you are, if I can just get Carlos to understand. But however, we've got to be able to stop. I mean, I love for anybody to run for office. I took it upon myself to do it. Why? Because a lot of people say, Greg, I think you'll do well. I said, no, I won't. I mean, but they say, you're already doing it, but I'm doing what I love to do. And so I took it upon myself to get in a race that really I didn't know anything about. All I knew is my heart is to help people. And I learned something. I learned people who are engaged in the politics of life would not see you as a leader because of the fact that your service don't line up with their politics. So you can't write me a check and tell me to keep quiet, because I learned a skill that I ain't do too good with today. The market was kind of crazy. I got to figure out what's going on in Washington. I had to take a few BCs today. But
Get you some hip hop.
yeah, Lord Jesus. But I'm saying that to say that we got to be able to know that our role in leadership
Yes.
is to serve people.
Yes.
I look at some of the counties that are especially Gadsden County, African American, and I look at their meetings, and I just look at how they are destroying each other and how the people are suffering. The leadership. You got African Americans in leadership, and the community is suffering behind it. And you can't put people in leadership to handle millions of dollars who have only had 300 in their checking account.
Look,
How
I need an organ. Can I get an organ?
How you gonna budget people money?
Goodness gracious. Goodness.
You know,
gracious.
so we gotta stop this because you like somebody, and people gotta understand that, you know, that.
Yes.
And I get very adamant about this because I don't even go to meetings no more because I get tired of going to a meeting, have another meeting about another meeting, and nothing's get done. So simple solutions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the answer to a lot of our problems.
Yeah.
But it's too simple for the politician to understand. So therefore, we keep seeing what we're seeing, and we keep having what we get, and we're gonna always find ourselves going in circles, doing the same thing. I was watching our city commission meeting here in Tallahassee the other night, and I was just totally disturbed. Totally. It's my personal opinion, how I feel, how I think, but I was totally disturbed at the fact that I saw something that I felt like was amazing gesture. Now, whatever the meaning behind it was, I don't know, but I just thought it was nice. To see it not go through was disheartening to me.
Yeah.
Comes to Curtis Richardson.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we've got to look at the bigger picture of things. And at the end of the day, we got to have more conversations like this that have more meaning. And at the end of the day, we got to always say, if we believe in the word, we ought to always know the word works.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
and I heard a lady say she was praying, she was hungry, she was praying, and she was living upstairs praying for food. And an atheist was downstairs, heard her praying, went to the store, bought all the groceries, knocked on the door, and said, "I'm delivering this food for you." She said, "Thank you, Jesus." He said, "No, don't you thank Jesus. I brought it." She said, "You might be an atheist, but God used you to bring me what I needed." We've got to see the bigger picture. Okay, I don't know how.
Look, it's in the water.
I don't know how.
It's in the water, but I think it goes back to your original point, Pastor, and I'm done when I say this.
Yes, I'm done.
That, you know, leadership, we're in need of good, sound leadership to move this community forward. I'm thankful for the leaders that have stepped up. I'm thankful for people who are putting their lives out there. But there's a way. There's a way to do things, and hopefully we can, you know, in this next political cycle, something will give.
Yeah. And I'm gonna close on this note. When you said what you said, it automatically brought to my attention Commissioner Proctor, because I heard him the other night in a listening session over at FAMU when he was speaking for the interim president, how he feels and believes that he should remain here doing what he's doing. And I thought that was commendable.
Okay.
And basically, I feel that we are in a season, in a climate where the interim who's there at FAMU now should remain. I think his leadership over the last, 11, 12 months has been one that has caused great change. Well, people don't like change, but at the end of the day, it has made great impact with the change.
Okay,
So,
right.
I mean, and it's hard for us to embrace change. It's hard for us to embrace when we upset or we dismantle what people are comfortable doing. So I'm going to be rallying for him. I mean, I heard Commissioner Proctor.
We need to get him on this show.
We need to get him on the show.
I really do, because FAMU is a huge economic driver for the South Side, and it's everybody's business to make sure that it is sustainably and well led.
Okay, let's see, can we get him on?
Okay.
let's close on that note.
Okay, I love
Hey,
it.
listen, this has been the Greg James Community Show. I'm Greg James.
Christy Henry.
And
out.
listen, y'all tune in next week because next week it is the first week. And I got special guests. As a matter of fact, I've got a commissioner. I got Commissioner Matlow coming
Okay,
to join me.
okay,
Okay. I think we're gonna close on that note.
okay.
Hey, listen, look, tune in next week, hey, right here on the Greg James Community Show. Y'all have an amazing weekend. Be encouraged, be blessed, stay prayerful. And if there ever was a time for you to start uniting with your brothers and sisters, this is the time because we need you. We need each other. You can't make it without me, and I can't make it without you. With that being said, be blessed.
Hallelujah. 95.3 FM. WT